Hello there, we're back. That's funny, don't seem to remember owning a droid. What's that, lassie? Tell the viewers why we've been off air. Okay. And what's going on the railway? Yes, I'll tell them that too. I'll tell them that too. Okay. Okay, so we haven't been uploading for a little while because of a few reasons really. One, I've been ill with, that flu. I only had it mild, so I was quite lucky. But it did mean I can't concentrate, and well, anybody that knows that does this sort of stuff, you've got to be able to concentrate, otherwise things go wrong. Another reason is I've been plagued by some old demons. Without this turning into an episode of Confessions of a Train Driver, although on second thoughts, they were some damn good films. I'll leave a link in a pinned comment in the comment section. If you want to read about it, you can. If you don't, that's fine. Along with what's written in that comment, I also had some work colleagues sidle up to me and say, "Oh, we've been watching your stuff on YouTube," which initially made me want to run and hide. But knowing people that are watching me also made me feel like Homer Simpson.
He's about to do something stupid.
No! I'm sure that's going to come up at work as well. Never mind. Anyway, what's been happening with the railway? Well, a few months ago, I decided in my infinite stupidity to rebuild some of the bits and pieces again. Namely, Warsey Bay, which you probably knew about, and the fiddle yard again. Why? That's a good question. Well, before I started doing this YouTube thing, I was quite happy with the work that I was doing. It was a private railway, so nobody, apart from some friends, actually got to see it. Then when I started putting it on YouTube and it became very public, you all automatically see things that you're not happy with. You know when you do something and you're sort of 99% happy with what you've done, but there's just that 1% nagging doubt, and then when you make videos about it and you see it for real in close up, they become really obvious, and I didn't like it. So I thought, I'm going to have to do something about it, and the only way to do something about it is to strip it down and start again. The fiddle yard rebuild went really well, and I'll do a video about that quite soon. To get to the fiddle yard, I had to first strip down Warsey Bay and Meacham Steed, the stations that sit atop it. Well, the station approaches board is what I call it. That had to come off. While that board was off, I took it upon myself to strip all my old point motors off and install my super Fandango homemade point motors and some signal actuators as well. Yeah, I know I could have done this a slightly different way for the signals, but I had these servo motors on hand, so this is the way I've done it. With that board off, it was far easier to do all of the wiring, even though I haven't built the signals. They just go to these chocolate blocks where, as and when the time comes, I can then just plop them in and they're ready to go. I could have learned how to computer control all this sort of stuff, but that's not my sort of thing. I like doing the wiring. Although it's time consuming and tedious, I do find it therapeutic. It's probably taken me about 3 weeks to do it, and it's probably in the region of about 175 metres of wire. So my first tip of the day is when you've got a lot of wiring to do and long runs, it's always easier to put your reels on something so that they can freely move, and then you can just unreel them as and when you do your wiring. After a while, your wiring runs get clogged up. So if you've got a thin, flaccid wire, it's quite difficult to poke it in that hole. As an aid to stiffen my wire, I use a short section of brass tube, probably about 2 or 3 inches long. She says it could be longer, but thread the wire through the tube, bend it over at the end, and then you've got a nice stiff wire to poke in the hole. Sometimes it's necessary to run 2 wires to the same location, but for different purposes. So I have another tool that's 2 tubes soldered together to enable me to go 2 up when the need arises. Simply lovely. In my last video, I mentioned about having asbestos fingers when I was using the soldering iron. Well, while I've been doing this in the last couple of weeks, I managed to burn myself, well, more like brand myself with the soldering iron. So I'd been working on top of the boards, literally on top of them. So I've had most of my tools to hand, including the soldering iron, and so I'd finished one bit and needed to move to another bit, and in the process I was shuffling about on top of the boards and knocked the soldering iron over, and it escaped its holder, which is quite common, but I didn't notice. And then when I was moving about, I put my hand down and thought, oh, that burns. Oh, that really burns. It's not the first time, and I doubt whether it'd be the last. The previous time that I burnt myself, I was working underneath the boards and had hung my soldering iron on the wires. Searching about for other tools, I thought, oh, there's a wasp biting me. And then I suddenly realised, no, it's not. It's the bloody soldering iron that's burning me. Well, at least I wasn't wearing my best shirt. With everything else that's been going on, it's taken me about 4 weeks to put this video together. And in the meantime, I started doing this board, which you can see was fairly empty. But now, at the end, it's completely finished and reinstalled. It's on 3 huge gate hinges to enable me to lift the board up still for access for maintenance purposes for what's underneath. Now before I go, I'm going to leave you with a dilemma, something that happened to me at work the other day. For various reasons, and it's a long story that I won't go into now, but I've never met my boss. I've only ever spoke to him on the phone. I was on the phone to him a week or so ago and was just finishing up the call, and I said, okay, see you later, bye. And he said, okay, love you, bye. Now I couldn't believe that he'd said what he'd just said, and I'd already pushed a button to end the call. The dilemma is, should I mention it when I next see him?